Well, Garrett, let's go to your first team, talking about defenses that are much improved, a front seven that is quietly very scary under the radar. SMU has had a pipeline from Coral Gables to the Metroplex. Just been taking on hurricanes left, right, and center. And Rhett Lashley really has built up a nice team ahead of their first year in the ACC.
Yeah, man, Lashley's doing a great job over there. My first, obviously, darling, SMU Mustangs, love what they're doing and love ultimately what they've been able to accomplish in the past going into this first season in the ACC. I want to highlight a couple things from last year. Again, you said very improved defense. They finished with the 11th ranked scoring defense last year, 8th ranked scoring offense. And this is not always just like, oh, bad teams or bad defenses, right? They're putting up points against some pretty good defenses in the American and holding down some really good teams and some really good quarterbacks there as well, holding some teams to some low numbers. So, look, the ACC, it's a big jump. A lot of people, I think, writing off SMU in their first year. I don't think that's entirely fair. I think when you look at this team, you bring back Preston Stone, obviously finished the year hurt last year, so really didn't get to see how they could finish the season with him. But he was, on fire and, improving throughout the year. And so I think him being able to come back and kind of run it back year two, Preston Stone time, right? It's officially his team with some experience. I think he's going to be able to really lead this team through their ACC schedule. And they bring back virtually everybody that they need on the offensive side of the football, right? They bring back all their role players, all the running backs, the receivers, the tight end, RJ Maryland, one of my favorite tight ends in the whole country. Just love what he's doing. Touchdown machine over there. And the defense, you're right, it's much improved. The secondary is almost entirely intact. Brought in a couple transfers to shore up some of those spots as well. Really shouldn't let a bunch through the air. Front seven, maybe a little bit underrated. I think they're going to do pretty good with the pass rush. And so, you look at that, you combine all of that with their schedule in the ACC and, talk about really gaining some momentum. They have the ability to do that going into a game in the end of September. So you go at Nevada, it's HCU Huskies, BYU, TCU, and then you play Florida State at home. And Florida State at home is going to be a big weather stick for this team to kind of see how they can stack up and if they can just avoid getting punched in the face and, losing by 50 or something like that, right? If they can keep this thing close, we put this on spoiler watch, right? This team can score in a hurry, make a statement against Florida State. Not going to pick them to win that game right now, but definitely put it on spoiler watch. And then you kind of end the season a little bit light. Louisville, following that, should be a really good team, so that should be tough. But then you look at what happens after the bye week. Stanford, Duke, that's a new Duke team, different head coach. Elko obviously leaving to A&M. You play Pitt, you get another bye week, and then it's Boston College, Virginia, California. It could be a real nice close to your season with, just a couple of early tests. And so I think that September stretch with TCU, Florida State, and Louisville at the beginning of October should be kind of the tough stretch for them. Mm-hmm. When you look at their number, it's just over 7.5. I think you can easily say that they could finish this season 6-0. So then you just had to find me 2 wins against, some of the who cares at your beginning of your schedule. Maybe, you score a bunch of points and surprise some people. I think SMU could be threatening for the conference by the end of the season and really putting some pressure on some ACC teams down the stretch. Might sneak up and surprise some people, but not going to surprise us, the season ticket holders over there in Dallas. So we're going to have fun. We're going to ride the Pony Express, and I'm going to ride them to the over 7.5.
Man, we got in on that investment early, and it is paying off in spades. Yeah. The biggest thing to me about SMU, when I think about their jump to a power conference, is they have Power 5 guys in the trenches on both sides of the football. That is a huge, huge bonus that I can't think of another team making the jump from G5 to Power 5 or Power 4 now that has had the talent that SMU has in the trenches. And that's what's going to cause them to keep up. I said this on the spoiler show. I know people will point to the Boston College Bowl game last year. That game was played in sloppy conditions with a backup quarterback. Don't use that to project forward. If you do, I think you're going to have a bad time betting on the Ponies this year because you're going to be shortchanging them, what they can do. So, man, I'm really excited to watch them up close this year. I'm excited to figure out what games we're going to in person this year.
Yep.
And you're absolutely right. They could be contending for the conference title by the end of the year.
The one concern that I have is and all of that is true. I just wrote SMU's preview for our ACC article today. I'm high on SMU. I'm bullish on calling them an ACC dark horse. I don't think 9 wins is out of the realm of possibility for SMU this year. The concerning stat, though, is 0-3. That's what they were against Power 5 competition last year. They lost to Oklahoma. They lost to TCU. And Oklahoma was an ugly game. TCU got away from them. And then Boston College, obviously, Trey, you mentioned it, in the Fenway Bowl. Pouring rain, backup quarterback Kevin Jennings was under center for them, although he did help win the ACC or AAC title over Tulane. But they've just got to do it. And I think if they can start to warm up, they get maybe one of the easiest Power 5 teams you could get in BYU in your third game. You're already going to be 2-0 heading into that one. A bye week in front of TCU. The byes really work out for SMU. They have 3 of them this season in front of the TCU game, after the Louisville game, and before they go out to the farm to take on Stanford, and then again before they host Boston College in that 3-game finale, Boston College, Virginia, Cal. So yeah, I think 9 wins is absolutely on the table here. I think a 7-5 season kind of seems like the floor. So if you're telling me the over-under is just a tick above that, Garrett, I think it's a smart investment.
Yeah, love the ponies this year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Sorry, Garrett. My model that we've kind of teased a little bit, just looking at the SP Plus and comparing teams and trying to factor in home field advantage, there's not a single game on their schedule that doesn't give the Mustangs a chance to win at the very least. It says that even in the ones that's projecting them to lose and not be a favorite, it's a 1-possession game.
Right. Well, and even like kind of what we said on the spoiler show, Trey, like we talked about that Florida State game. Florida State's going to be breaking in a lot of new players, and there could still be a little bit of rust to shake off there at the end of September, right? Like, game 4, game 5 is not typically where you're playing your sharpest football. Now, they're a well-coached team, and so, it's going to be fine, but we've seen DJU disappear in games. It's not uncommon for that to happen, and we don't know what's going to help on the other side. And again, Florida State's probably going to be a very good team. Gun to my head, I'd probably pick them to win the ACC this year, but, just right now where we sit, SMU, they can score points quick. And so, this is one of those, you show up to Dallas, it's maybe a little bit of a sleepier day and you're not quite thinking too much about the ponies, and then they jump up on you and they score 14 real quick. Like, this could be a problem for Florida State. You don't want them playing behind. So, again, like, not picking them to win that game. But this is a much better team than I think a lot of people realize. And if you're not taking SMU seriously, again, like, I think it'll be to your downfall, because they're the team that, if you think that they're just the little, like, oh, you were just the G5 team last year and now you're making the jump, good for you, little guy. Like, if you're thinking that about SMU, there's going to be some teams that drop games that they probably shouldn't on the schedule.
Gracious, how about